shadows, and intrigue. They had barely stepped out of the post office when Edward paused at a rusted lamppost. "Tell me that isn't a perfect spot for a dead drop," he said. Min didn't answer. He was already moving. They weaved through alleys baked dry from the midday sun, past shuttered shop fronts and tangled clotheslines, jumping on and off the trottoir, as necessitated by various food stalls, parked cyclos, and beggars. Edward trailed just behind, narrating the city to himself like a mystery novel. He noted suspiciously anything, it seemed to Min, that could possibly be considered anomalous. At a Boon Boss stall in front of a shop that seemed to make huge, multi-panel cinema posters, Min stopped. They sat and ate in silence until Edward said between bites, "There's a Vietnamese saying for this, right? If you want to find the future, stir before the rooster crows." Min looked at him blank. Or was it, "If you want to move fast, stir the old soup"? Still nothing. Edward tried again. "If you want to go quickly, follow the river backwards." Min dropped his spoon. "Munyang ti di dungku." If you want to hurry, take the old roads. It means that by using our old and trusted connections, we can achieve more and much more quickly than trying the official way. Sounds like non-Euclidean geometry, Edward quipped. Min stared for a couple of seconds, then smiled and exclaimed, "Exactly." What it was how Min had located Edward's missing trunk and had had it delivered to the Continental for him, and been relieved of his position for bending several straight French lines in the process. All this time, Edward had been trying unsuccessfully to imitate Min's eating style, chopsticks in one hand and a short, broad spoon in the other. Min, whose mood had improved with Edward's understanding of the proverb, said, "Switch hands." "Huh? Switch hands?" "Chopsticks in your right hand and the spoon in your left. You are still new, so use them to push the noodles onto your spoon. You're going to go hungry if you keep trying to pick the noodles up with them. She might keep a fork here for foreigners. No. I'm about to learn the Vietnamese way." "Thanks," Edward smiled. 10 minutes later, they were making their way through a quieter lane. Edward lingered by a newsstand and picked up a stained old copy of L'Economiste from a pile on the side. "This one's seen things," he said, and hurried after Min. As they walked, something slipped from the paper and hit the ground with a soft pock. Min stopped, crouched, and picked up the small cloth-wrapped packet. He looked at the short Vietnamese note and, with a look of astonishment, opened it. His eyes grew even wider. He gave a quick 360 glance around. "Where did you get this?" he demanded. "I don't know, I guess it was in the paper," Edward answered. "It's probably nothing." Min, who hadn't noticed Edward picking the paper up, thought a moment, then retied the packet and tucked it quickly into a pocket of his postal employee jumpsuit. Min guided them through lanes, which narrowed into alleys, skimming past stray cats and loose chickens, always seeming to be in the shade. Edward walked with the earnest caution of a man certain the next corner held a clue, or a girl with a clue. He was still mentally rewriting the scene at the post office. The man behind the counter had a dragon tattoo. Suspicious. Possibly an international smuggling ring. A package, hastily sealed, postmarked Alat. Min stepped forward, slow but purposeful. Edward followed, still in novel-writing mode. At the mouth of the alley was a small banh mi stall. The vendor was filling baguettes with a variety of meats, herbs, and chili. She looked up to see Min and finished the sandwiches she had been making. They talked briefly. The woman wrapped 2 plain baguettes in some newspaper and handed them over. She adjusted her conical hat as Min passed her a couple of coins. Edward was astonished that Min could be hungry so soon after lunch. They continued walking. Edward looked back once, then resumed his imagined espionage-packed narrative. Min stopped. Just like that. No gesture. No whisper. He stood completely still, then tilted his head slightly. His eyes tracked something Edward didn't see. "What is it?" Min didn't reply. His gaze had locked onto a narrow alley up ahead. Something seemed off. The noise in the market had shifted, just slightly. The sound of a voice cut short. A door shut too carefully, a silence that didn't belong in the noisy city. Edward's thoughts were knee-deep in his mystery. But somewhere between the shadows of the narrow alleyways, the page in his novel had turned to intrigue. But Edward hadn't noticed yet.